In 2008, I was involved in the pre-planning of Daming Palace, and then that was a study before an international competition was held. The point of that study was to try and get a much greener park, National Relics Park, and responsive to archaeology and history. It's very grand, and I think at that time there was a lot of emphasis on the magnificence of the ancient capital and creating this enormous space for celebrating the history. After a decade working on the Small Wild Goose Pagoda, the change in emphasis, as you say, in more human-oriented, community-friendly, more green and sustainable design was a really nice and welcome change. And for us, it enabled us as designers to really create a place for tourists, local residents and the community to make it much more inclusive. I was very inspired, I think, by the pagoda itself. There was and of course some of the museum pieces in the Xi'an Museum, which represent some of the relics from the Tang Dynasty. So we wanted to be able to present those in a more contemporary way, but integrate those into some of the subtle details, whether that's paving or furniture, to tell the story, but not too strong. As a landscape architect, obviously technology and historic conservation should be aligned. There shouldn't be a conflict between these two. And the secret for us is how to leverage technology for a positive outcome. And by that I mean in terms of, as a designer, using technology to convey our design intent and use that technology to improve the efficiency of design. But then the technology itself for the residents and the consumers and the people that use the spaces we create, in my opinion, that technology should be used in a way that really does help protect relics and promote social equity and inclusion. I'm not so strongly for big landmarks. I think ways in which technology can be used to benefit society, to benefit the environment, to tackle climate change or biodiversity. So I think what we need to be doing is using data and information in a way that enables us to do better for people, for communities and for wildlife and of course to tackle the big issues of our day, which are climate change related. I was thinking about the idea of the Silk Road and the technology, and one thing I know that over recent years there's been a lot of effort to control desertification and forests, and the idea for me, if the science and technology base could have a research centre or science base where data was collected to maybe look at this ecological greening from the high-tech district along the Silk Road. So imagine reforestation, habitat restoration, and all of that being monitored through digital technology to collect data, so that this is the start of a kind of Silk Road ecological corridor, restoring the planet, thinking about biodiversity gain and tackling climate change. Imagery and visualization is very rapidly changing in the market. Many architects and designers worry about their jobs in the future, but the technology is there to really help imagination and help creativity and innovation. So it plays a very important role in the beginning, in the concept stage. But then when we use things like VR and we're building digital models of our projects, we can help clients understand the projects we're creating and visualizing all of the details to help with construction. Aecom has a project in Shanghai in a knowledge innovation community. It's one of the Yangpu district's first digital parks, and that will enable school children to engage in education. It will involve technology companies to install technology platforms for forums and engagement. So we are involved in this sort of digital transformation of our practice. Aecom was responsible for the London Olympic Master Plan and Rio Olympics, and London was driven by a landscape architect, so landscape can and should really encompass the communities we create, the cities that we live in. For me, landscape has no borders. Landscape goes beyond our country and our national borders. So when you're in an aeroplane, our cities are sat within landscapes. So I think landscape is incredibly important, and in today's society with big issues that we face globally, particularly in terms of climate change and biodiversity loss, landscape architecture plays a very important role in our city development.